if you could have stopped him from ever hurting anyone again?
Stop them how?
No punches, no explosions, no CGI. Just 4 minutes of conversation, a man sitting in darkness, and a single reaction shot that tells us exactly who he's becoming. This is television at its best. This is artistic direction at its best. So what's actually happening here? What is it about this scene that makes it one of Daredevil's best? Let's break it down. The setup for the scene is simple. As stakes escalate around Matt's vigilante work, he questions his role in all of it. He wants to reconcile his actions with his faith. So he takes up his priest on that earlier offer, some coffee and some counseling. The scene is dark, intimate. It opens with Father Lantom noticing Matt's hesitancy. Something is clearly weighing on him. Lantom offers reassurance.
Seal of confession still applies, even over lattes. Not what you're worried about.
He's inviting Matt to speak, without pushing. But Matt reveals that reassurance isn't what he's here for. He wants truth. He asks Lantom,
Do you believe in the devil, Father?
not as a concept, but as a presence who walks among us. It seems Matt is seeking to examine his own character, to find guidance accordingly. Father Lantom considers the request for a moment, then decides to give him his honest perspective. But it comes at a cost. What follows isn't sentimental encouragement. We're past that point. What Lantom shares is a disturbing personal reality, one that shapes his framework for understanding the world. As Lantom begins, we cut to a wide, almost establishing shot. This tells us we're in for something, a shift in tone, in stakes. The camera stays close on their faces, as Lantom explains his younger self, studious, skeptical, convinced that the devil is inconsequential, really just propaganda to drive people into church. But his reasoning tracks. In the original Hebrew, Satan isn't a name, it's more like a job description. Adversary. It gets applied to anyone in opposition. Angels, humans, serpents, kings. The idea of the devil as a singular figure, that was a remix from medieval reinterpretation. Young Lantom saw it as a power play. Turn scattered references into one terrifying figure, and suddenly you've got a reason for people to show up on Sunday. It's the perspective of someone who's studied scripture, but has not yet encountered evil.
So you don't believe he exists?
Matt interrupts, but Lantom responds.
Am I done talking?
It's a gentle rebuke, but it signals something important. What's coming next requires our full attention. And then something subtle happens. The camera reverses their over-the-shoulder positions. The dynamic has shifted. This is Lantom's story now, and we're going to hear it on his terms. He explains that years later, he was in Rwanda, helping local churches provide aid to refugees. He'd become close with a village elder named Gahiji, a man respected by everyone, Hutu and Tutsi alike, a holy man. The shots stay in close-up as Lantom sets the stakes. Militia forces ordering villagers to kill their neighbors with machetes. Then the camera widens, just enough to give the story room to breathe, as Lantom explains that nobody would raise a hand against Gahiji. It was too much for them. So, the militia commander sent soldiers to cut Gahiji's head off in front of the entire village.
Gahiji didn't try to put up a fight. Just asked for the chance to say goodbye to his family.
The camera begins slowly pushing in.
By the time he was done, even the soldiers didn't want to kill him. So they went to their commander and asked permission to shoot him. At least give him a quick death.
The camera is still moving, slowly, deliberately, closing in on the two men as the stakes of the story increase.
The commander wanted to meet this man, who had won the respect of so many.
And right here, we can hear from the music that this is where things are getting serious. It's subtle, but effective. The camera goes back to Lantom as he continues.
He went to Gahiji, talked with him in his hut for many hours.
The tension in Lantom's story peaks here. Will the commander release Gahiji? Will he let the soldier shoot him? Like Matt, we have no idea what's about to happen. The same uncertainty Lantom himself felt at the time of the story. The camera continues pushing in.
Then he dragged him out in front of his village and hacked him to pieces, along with his entire family.
The tension snaps, and immediately we're back to Matt. The way Lantom delivers this, graphic, personal, unflinching. You believe he truly lived it. There's heavy, painful depth at this moment. We aren't shown the event taking place because that isn't the focus. The shots stay between these two men wrestling with theology, with meaning, with the nature of evil itself.
In that man who took Gahichi's life, I saw the devil.
By now we're on a full close-up of Matt that just continues closing in. This reality is pressure for him. When the tension was released, we weren't given satisfaction, just this disturbing perspective offered through a chilling anecdote.
So yes, Matthew, I believe he walks among us, taking many forms.
Notice Lantom's journey with Scripture. He began with it, the Hebrew definition, the medieval reinterpretation, the whole academic framework. Then he lost it entirely. The Rwanda story contains no Bible verses, no theological citations, just raw experience. And at the end, Lantom comes back to a kind of Scripture, but transformed. He walks among us taking many forms, actually is biblical. But it was never spelled out directly by Scripture. Lantom's theology comes from observation of texts, as well as personal experience. But here's what's interesting. If Satan, in the original Hebrew, refers to many adversaries, humans, serpents, kings, then maybe young Lantom was actually right all along. Not because the devil doesn't matter, but because his influence on humanity is not exclusive to himself. He is active in the world. The soldiers who followed orders, the militia commander, and, as we're about to see, Matt Murdock too. Following the same shot, we get this exchange.
What if you could have stopped him from ever hurting anyone again?
Stop them how?
The close-up is now front angle, and it holds for a moment. Then, without a word, the scene ends. And Matt's silence after this small exchange was the loudest part of this scene. Because now we can see what he was truly asking. He wasn't wondering whether he was turning into something dark. He wasn't looking for comfort. He was looking for permission. Permission to believe that some people are so far gone that stopping them by any means necessary isn't sin, it's justice. The camera knows. Matt knows. We know. He's talking about Fisk. This expression gives it all away. He's imagining stopping him, and he's imagining it violently. But there's an irony in this, because everything Father Lantom just described about Gahiji and his humility, the way everyone agreed he was a great, holy man, none of it sounds like Matt Murdock. He hears about a man who resisted evil with dignity and compassion, and immediately imagines killing someone. Matt is hunting the devil he thinks Fisk has become, but barely sees the one forming inside himself. The windows of his soul are hidden behind pitch-black reflections, in every unspoken detail. His simmering intensity, the subtle sound design, the half-lit framing, shows where his heart truly is, and how far he is from somebody like Gahiji. Bro really is blind in more ways than one. What's most impressive about this scene is how it works on a technical level. A lesser series would cut to a flashback, or a stylized montage. not Daredevil. Everything here is stripped down. And because the scene is so minimal, the details carry it. The creeping close-ups, the low lighting, the silence that makes every breath feel heavier. Music is used sparingly, letting the weight of Lantom's words hang in the air. And then the boldest choice. The story he tells is rooted in real history. The genocide, the machetes, the militias. This isn't just cool unk backstory. These are things human beings actually lived through. Real evil in real life. For a moment, we aren't just audience members. We're secondhand witnesses to something that actually happened, filtered through the memory of a fictional character who still carries it. The show has as much respect for its Catholic priest as it does for the delicate, disturbing events that he survived. It doesn't dramatize any of it, doesn't recreate it, doesn't show a single frame of violence. Because the creators of this show understand something that modern storytelling keeps unlearning. Restraint can hit harder than spectacle. This entire sequence works because it trusts the audience to sit in the stillness, fill in the gaps, and feel the weight of what isn't being shown. It forces us to confront the reality of evil, not as mythology, but as something humans carry into the real world. And it suggests, quietly but unmistakably, that the same darkness Lantom saw in Rwanda is taking root in Matt. But there's still hope. Matt came here asking for truth.
Just the truth.
And anyone who seeks the truth is always someone who can still choose it. Matt isn't lost. At least, not yet. This is what storytelling can be when it trusts its audience. When it understands that silence can speak louder than spectacle, restraint can hit harder than violence, and two people talking in a room can be more intense than any fight scene. All that in a scene under 5 minutes long.